Today, there's a country that stands out for its unique approach to running its economy. It defies many of the common models that governments, banks, and businesses typically follow. While this method has its merits, it also comes with drawbacks. Macroeconomists usually base their work on standard assumptions that apply across various political ideologies, market systems, and wealth levels. The basic concept that all countries aim to grow wealthier for the betterment of their citizens' lives is a fundamental assumption in this field. At its core, economics revolves around finding the optimal way to distribute limited resources to maximize people's material well-being. This boils down to answering three key questions: what to produce, how much to produce, and who should benefit from the production. Every economist dedicates their career to addressing these fundamental questions, although with varying perspectives. While there are numerous competing ideas on the best approach, the common goal is economic growth, making it a tad simpler to tackle these questions. However, there's one exception to this trend: Bhutan. Bhutan, a petite nation in the Himalayas, sits snugly between India and China, with indirect connections to Nepal and Bangladesh. In this geopolitically complex region marked by uncertain borders, Bhutan manages to carve out its existence. Even though it's sandwiched between the two most populous nations globally, Bhutan boasts a population of just 780,000, and its economy is a mere 6,500 times smaller than its colossal neighbor, China. Surprisingly, the size difference doesn't seem to bother them at all. Bhutan boldly diverges from the conventional path of economic development that most nations diligently pursue. Over the past 5 decades, this modest and somewhat informal government has prioritized gross national happiness over gross domestic product. This commitment isn't just rhetoric or an attempt to mask underwhelming economic figures. Take, for instance, Bhutan's unique approach to tourism. While many countries actively seek tourist dollars, Bhutan, despite its potential as a popular destination, deliberately discourages regular travelers. Despite its low cost of living, only the truly affluent can afford to holiday there. It's a clear example of foregoing potential foreign revenue to preserve the country's pristine landscape and rich culture, prioritizing these over mass tourism. So, has Bhutan's distinctive economic approach yielded positive results? Can other economies draw lessons from its management? And looking ahead, is Bhutan equipped to sustain this system amidst global changes? After addressing these questions, we'll use economic metrics to place Bhutan, a country indifferent to such metrics, on the Economics Explained national leaderboard. Bhutan operates as a small and informal economy, with an annual economic output just over $2.7 billion, smaller than many suburbs in advanced economies. Interestingly, some medium-sized factories globally generate more economic output than this entire country. The unique challenges arise from its Himalayan location, making basic infrastructure like roads and rail lines exceptionally difficult and costly to develop. Adding to the complexity, Bhutan lacks substantial natural resources. Even if internal transport were seamless, participating in global trade would face significant hurdles. In typical scenarios, a lower-income country could leverage lower wage demands to establish factories producing basic goods more affordably than in higher-wage nations. Essentially, the concept of outsourcing. However, for Bhutan, the extensive journey of raw materials across thousands of kilometers through China and India, and the subsequent transport of finished goods, incurred shipping costs that negate any savings. This overlooks the fact that these materials and products traverse China and India, the world's primary hubs for low-cost manufacturing, to begin with. Bhutan's path to economic prosperity didn't align with traditional industrialization methods. Today, the country relies heavily on subsistence agriculture and cottage industries, with a notable addition being hydroelectric dams harnessing snowmelts from its mountains. While Bhutan shares the breathtaking natural beauty of its neighbor, Nepal, renowned for drawing billions from adventure tourists eager to explore the Himalayas and immerse themselves in unique cultures, Bhutan has taken a different stance. Despite having a similarly captivating package, Bhutan doesn't fully exploit this potential. Historically, the country barred outsiders until the 1970s. Even today, ordinary individuals can't easily afford a visit, intentionally positioning the kingdom as a destination for the affluent. With just 4 airports, only 1 international, and an average citizen earning $235 per month, a significant portion of airport traffic is comprised of private jets. Tourists pay a daily fee of $200 to the government, making a week for a couple cost $2,800, excluding flights and accommodations. Bhutan's distinctive tourism strategy provides a unique window into the country's overall economic approach. Bhutan's limited hotel availability, coupled with the exclusivity of its visitors, creates a unique scenario. Recognizing that the few resorts in the country will cater to wealthier individuals, the largest international traveler-oriented resort, Amman, exemplifies this trend. Instead of listing prices on their website, potential guests are prompted to make an inquiry. Upon doing so, they discover that prices start at $3,000 per night for a basic room and soar to a staggering $20,000 a night for a private villa. Consider this: a single night's stay at a Bhutanese hotel can equate to the entire economic output of the average resident. And let's not forget about the additional cost of flights. Bhutan presents a unique challenge for normal international airlines, as its small and challenging airports deter most carriers. Moreover, the country permits only 2 international carriers, Bhutan Airlines and Druk Air, both operating infrequent and expensive flights solely from neighboring countries like India. As a result, many affluent travelers opt for private jets or charters, a popular choice among the limited number of tourists. This preference for private aviation is so prevalent that some resorts in Bhutan go the extra mile, offering services to assist guests in arranging the necessary paperwork for parking their jets while indulging in their holiday. It's a testament to the exclusive and unconventional nature of tourism in this picturesque kingdom. The economic philosophy of Bhutan places a premium on preserving its environment and culture over material wealth. While it might take an average Bhutanese citizen a decade to save for a single night in a hotel room, and tourists can easily spend more in a week than most locals earn in a lifetime, the underlying principle is a deliberate choice. Ideally, the country might prefer no visitors at all, given its commitment to environmental and cultural preservation. However, the lucrative nature of exclusive tourism, where visitors are willing to pay exorbitant amounts for a unique experience, makes it strategically sensible to permit such high-end tourism. Once tourists arrive, they encounter significant restrictions on their activities, a measure aimed at balancing economic gains with the imperative to safeguard Bhutan's distinctive environment and rich cultural heritage. The distinctive economic philosophy of Bhutan frames this situation differently. Rather than viewing it as a missed opportunity, the country sees it as a deliberate choice. Generating nearly $100 million in revenue, Bhutan ensures that most residents will never encounter a tourist, let alone have their lives significantly impacted by them. This approach aligns with the country's commitment to balancing economic gains with the preservation of its environment, culture, and the well-being of its citizens. Bhutan extends a similar approach to various industries, creating a situation that, at first glance, might appear problematic. Some interpret its seemingly exclusive stance towards the outside world as aloof. Bhutan does grapple with a high debt-to-GDP ratio of around 130%, typically a concerning position for a low-income developing economy. However, the key distinction lies in the philosophy behind these borrowings, mirroring the principles applied in their tourist industry. In Bhutan's case, the borrowed funds were acquired with the same strategic mindset. They recognized an exceptional opportunity that was too good to pass up. This perspective shapes their economic decisions, emphasizing the pursuit of opportunities that align with their unique values and goals. It reflects a deliberate choice rather than an inherent financial risk, highlighting the nuanced nature of Bhutan's economic strategy. Bhutan's challenging mountainous terrain may limit traditional industries and infrastructure development, but it has recently capitalized on a significant advantage. Harnessing the meltwater from the snow as it descends through the mountains, Bhutan has invested heavily in hydroelectric power. The country has used a substantial portion of its borrowed funds to construct 6 massive hydroelectric dams, generating more power than it can consume. Consequently, Bhutan exports surplus electricity to the northern regions of India. In an interesting turn, despite its emphasis on non-material wealth, Bhutan has found an unconventional use for the excess electricity. It's being used to mine Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. This unexpected move showcases the country's ability to adapt and leverage its resources in innovative ways, even while maintaining its distinct economic philosophy. While on a global macroeconomic scale, Bhutan's cryptocurrency mining industry remains modest. It provides the country with ample foreign income to service its debts and fund initiatives aimed at improving citizens' lives. The government's emphasis on placing little value on material wealth, part of Bhutan's cultural ethos, also brings a unique advantage. Bhutan stands as the 25th least corrupt country globally, a remarkable feat for a developing nation, which often faces higher susceptibility to corruption challenges. To put this in context, Bhutan's anti-corruption ranking places it just behind the USA and ahead of advanced economies like South Korea, Portugal, and Spain. This distinction underscores the effectiveness of Bhutan's governance in maintaining integrity despite its unconventional economic approach and reinforces the country's commitment to principles that prioritize the well-being of its citizens over traditional material gains. Bhutan's approach to economic growth, prioritizing gross national happiness over gross domestic product, offers valuable lessons for growth at all costs macroeconomists. It serves as a compelling example of striking a balance between traditional economic objectives, such as raw output, and other crucial factors like living standards, environmental sustainability, and cultural preservation. However, adopting Bhutan's model might not be a feasible or immediate choice for many advanced economies. While the Bhutanese population values a simple life and places emphasis on cultural traditions, the nation remains economically challenged. The preference for cultural preservation, limited tourism, and exclusive economic practices contributes to their relative poverty. It's a situation that to some extent is self-inflicted, as the country could potentially be wealthier by adopting more open economic policies, especially towards tourism. In essence, while Bhutan offers a unique and balanced perspective on economic development, its model may not be universally applicable, especially for more affluent nations seeking rapid economic growth. Bhutan, a country that prioritizes factors beyond raw economic output, holds a unique position on the Economics Explained National Leaderboard. Due to its small size, the World Bank does not collect economic data for Bhutan, but the International Monetary Fund does. Keep in mind that the methodologies of these institutions may differ slightly, affecting the comparability of Bhutan's GDP with other countries on the leaderboard. With a GDP of $2.7 billion, Bhutan stands as the 166th most productive country globally, trailing the Central African Republic and surpassing Cape Verde. For size, Bhutan earns a score of 2 out of 10. When considering GDP per capita, Bhutan faces challenges with limited high-value-adding opportunities for its population. The country's indifference to traditional economic development reflects in the average person's annual output, amounting to $35,000. This figure is approximately a quarter of the global average and aligns with countries like Egypt and Venezuela. Consequently, for GDP per capita, Bhutan receives another 2 out of 10 on the Economics Explained National Leaderboard. Stability and confidence in Bhutan fall into a middle ground, not outstanding, but not alarming either. Being situated between global superpowers, China and India, poses potential threats, and despite a young democracy officially formed in 2008, significant power is retained by the monarch. Nevertheless, the country experiences mostly stable governance, and its cautious approach to growth avoids vulnerabilities like excessive external debt. For stability and confidence, Bhutan receives a 5 out of 10 on the Economics Explained National Leaderboard. In terms of economic growth, Bhutan has seen decent progress recently, expanding by approximately 70% in the last decade. While this growth may not match the impressive rates of its neighbors India and China, it still earns Bhutan a 7 out of 10 on the leaderboard. Bhutan's industry is notably tiny, a situation that is partially intentional and influenced by circumstances. Even if the country shifted its national philosophy to prioritize economic growth at all costs, there are limited industries in which Bhutan could effectively compete, especially compared to its neighboring countries. Tourism, despite being a potential avenue, is constrained by Bhutan's remote location, making it challenging to build an economy solely around this sector. For industry, Bhutan receives a score of 2 out of 10 on the Economics Explained National Leaderboard. It's crucial to note that a lower score would indicate a high dependence on foreign aid. With an average score of 3.6 out of 10, Bhutan finds itself lower on the leaderboard. However, it's worth highlighting that Bhutan has explicitly communicated its lack of concern about these rankings. Their unique approach to economic development reflects their commitment to principles beyond traditional economic measures. So while Bhutan may not score high on conventional economic metrics, the country embraces its distinct path with indifference to these rankings. Currently, Bhutan maintains robust developmental ties with India, a country poised to become one of the world's leading economies in the coming decades. The progress of India's development journey is inherently linked to Bhutan's economic advancement. As we wrap up our exploration of Bhutan's unique economic philosophy and approach, we hope you gained valuable insights into this small Himalayan kingdom's unconventional path. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with fellow enthusiasts, and subscribe for more intriguing content. Your support means the world to us. Feel free to leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of economics. Goodbye for now.